meeting to order. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to have a moment of silence to start beforehand, and if everybody could please keep a wonderful lady, Nancy Salzer, board member Phil Salzer's wife, who recently passed away. So please keep Nancy in your prayers.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
We have all 18 present.
Okay. Approval of the minutes. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the minutes? Member Blair, Member Duncan. Any comments or corrections? Seeing none, please cast your vote.
Member Gross Allison. Eighteen ayes. Next is proclamations and presentations.
We have a proclamation recognizing and congratulating Walter Brothers Harley Davidson on their 150th or 105th anniversary. Marcia Weebler's here.
You want me to tell you
So this is a especially big honor for me, as I've bought 4 of my motorcycles from Walters Brothers, and it's where I constantly do business. Even though it's not in my area, it's in Paul's area, so we're both very proud to give them this proclamation. Whereas Walters Brothers Harley Davidson is a premium Harley Davidson motorcycle dealership celebrating 105 years of service to Central Illinois motorcycle landscape, and in 1921, brothers Ambrose, Bruce, and Robert Bob Walters opened Walters Brothers Motorcycle and Bicycle Shop in Galesburg at 55 South Chambers. Then in 1922, Walters Brothers became Walters Brothers Harley Davidson, and in 1931, Bruce and Gladys Walters moved to Peoria and purchased Harley Davidson sales and service off Franklin Street in Peoria from Dewey Sims. And Wayne J. Weebler started working for Bruce Walters as an apprentice in 1951 and worked his way into management by 1968. And Wayne purchased the dealership from Bruce and Gladys in 1979. And in 1997, the dealership was moved to the current location, 615 South Maxwell Road in Peoria, allowing all aspects of the dealership to grow and almost triple in size. And the business has continued to flourish, and under the direction of Wayne, his sons Steve and Stan, and grandchildren Tiffany and David, who have carried on the tradition of serving the motorcycle community with honesty and integrity. And Walters Brothers Harley Davidson continues to be a multiple bar and shield winner for excellence in customer service and is recognized as one of the top dealers for Harley Davidson Motor Company. Now, therefore, I, James C. Dillon, chairperson of the Peoria County Board, on behalf of the Peoria County Board, to hereby recognize and congratulate Walters Brothers Harley Davidson on their 105th anniversary. Proclaim this 13th day of August, 2026. Now you can say something if you'd like. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, anybody that's not old enough in this room to understand what I'm saying, because I started selling papers when I was 9 years old. Then I went to Underwood's grocery store down in the South End, and then I went to motorcycle shop. It's been there ever since, and loved every minute of it. Customers are as good or as not good as you want. Any people on the earth. There's about 150 of them in the parking lot right now on their St. Jude ride up to Lake Sheets Creek, I guess. This year we go every month, and in the last 20 years, which is this year is the 20th, we've raised a little over $15 million for St. Jude. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of good for the kids, and my sons really love it, and my granddaughter works her ton. So thank you very much for the recognition. I sure appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to ask him a question. Sir, have you ever been to Sturgis?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Next, a proclamation recognizing and congratulating Beechler's Tire and Automotive Center on their 75th anniversary.
All right. Proud to have the honor to present to Brett Beechler and his wife the proclamation for 75 years in business, third generation owners of Beechler's Tire and Service, or Tire and Automotive Center. So I'll read this. Whereas Beechler's Tire and Automotive Center is a third generation family owned business celebrating 75 years in 2026. And whereas Beechler's provides a premium auto care experience, including oil changes, electrical, tires, testing, brakes, and a fuel station. And whereas Beechler's has a long-lasting relationship built on trust with generations of customers in Peoria by treating customers and the vehicles with respect. And whereas Bob Beechler started Beechler's Standard in 1951, the business moved to its current location on University and War Memorial in 1952. And whereas Terry and Don Beechler assumed ownership in 1984, and Brett Beechler transitioned to ownership with his father and Terry in 2013. Whereas Beechler celebrated 75th anniversary in May with a celebration that included a 24-foot Michelin Man. You had to see that from the road. Raffles, food trucks, and classic cars. And whereas Beechler's is also giving back to the Peoria community for its 75th anniversary by donating 25 oil changes to the medical community, educators, and the church charity community. And whereas now I therefore, James C. Dillon, chairperson of the Peoria County Board, on behalf of the Peoria County Board, do hereby recognize and congratulate Beechler's Tire and Automotive Center on their 75th anniversary. Proclaim this 13th day of August of 2026, signed by James C. Dillon, Peoria County Board Chairperson, and Rachel Parker, Peoria County Clerk. It's all yours, sir.
Thank you. Super thankful, especially blessed to be able to do this for 75 years. My grandpa started this in 51, of course, at the corner of North and McClure, and I was there for about a year, and it was a $25 investment in the gas station there. So very thankful. I've got a great crew of people. I treat them like I do my family. I've learned over the years that if you treat your people well, they'll treat your customers well. It was 75 oil changes total, not 25. Just so you know. We just thought it'd be fun to celebrate that this year, to be able to give back to the community. We did that during COVID. We gave to the medical community over 600 oil changes then. But we're blessed enough to be able to give back to the community. I always tell people I can't take it all with me, so you might as well give some back to the community. But we have a lot of fun there. So, but we really appreciate you guys recognizing us, and I hope to carry the torch for many more years. And the only catch is I don't have a fourth generation in the family to take it over. I have a lot of kids. We've got 5 kids between the 2 of us and 10 grandkids, but I don't know if we have any Beachlers that are willing to take it over. A lot of them in the medical community now. So, but we really appreciate this. Thank you very much for the recognition.
Thanks, Brett. Next, a proclamation proclaiming August 2026 as Emergency Management Month in Peoria County.
Welcome. Thank you. Okay. Whereas the protection of life, property, and the environment is a fundamental responsibility shared by government, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and all residents of Peoria County. Emergency management professionals work year-round to prevent, protect against, mitigate, prepare for, respond to, and recover from natural disasters, technological incidences, public health emergencies, and other hazards. Peoria County is vulnerable to emergencies such as severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, flooding, winter storms, hazardous material incidents, utility disruptions, and other events that may threaten public safety and community well-being. Emergency managers coordinate with law enforcement, fire departments, emergency medical services, public health agencies, schools, hospitals, volunteer organizations, public sector partners, and neighboring jurisdictions to ensure a unified and efficient response to emergencies. Emergency management programs strengthen community resilience through hazard planning, training, exercises, public education, warning systems, continuity of operations, and recovery coordination. Peoria County residents are encouraged to prepare for emergencies by developing family communication plans, assembling emergency supply kits, staying informed through official alerts, and supporting neighbors who may need assistance. Recognizing Emergency Management Month provides an opportunity to honor these professionals and to promote awareness of the importance of preparedness and resilience. Now, therefore, I, James C. Dillon, Chairperson of the Peoria County Board, on behalf of the County Board, do hereby proclaim August 2026 as Emergency Management Month in Peoria County. Claimed this 13th day of August 2026, James C. Dillon, Peoria County Chairperson, and Rachel Parker, Peoria County Clerk. You're welcome. And we do have one of the best in the area here. Super proud of the work that Jason does, and I know he's looked to as a leader, and really just appreciate your expertise in this.
Well, thank you. I want to thank the board again. This is Emergency Management Awareness Month, and as you're all well aware, we continue to have challenges, particularly on funding levels and things. And so, the assurance, both from yourself, Rob, as well as Scott and Chairman Dillon, and the rest of you, that as we went through those things, you've assured us that you would continue to provide us the resources necessary to provide the services we're doing. And so we appreciate that from the board and all the support that you provide us. So thank you.
Thanks, Jason, for all the great work. Next, that would bring us to citizens' remarks. I had 0 turned in.
So we move on to the consent agenda.
Is there a motion on the floor to put the consent agenda on? Member Elsesser? Member Bryan? Is there anybody like anything pulled? Seeing none, please cast your vote.
Member Groves Allison? There she goes. Eighteen ayes. Next, we'd be at zoning ordinances and resolutions. Item 9.1. Zoning case ZBA 2026-0025, petition of Zoe Walton, a special use to operate as an organic microfarm, restaurant, and market in A2 agricultural zoning district. The petitioner proposes to operate as an organic microfarm, restaurant, and market at the subject parcel.
Member Rosenbaum, Member Root. Member Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a little bit of background on this petition. Wants to construct a 5-acre organic micro farm with a restaurant and a market on a 78-acre parcel. It'll have a 2,400 square foot greenhouse. It'll have a produce store, restrooms, dining, and a kitchen, and it'll allow farm to table kitchen model of educational experiences for visitors. It's just great to have another business that wants to do business here in Peoria. It passed the zoning board appeals, and if anybody has any questions, their attorney's here to answer them.
Questions? Would the petitioner like to add anything, or just okay? All right, seeing none, please cast your vote.
Member Groves Allison. Eighteen ayes. Item 9.2, zoning case ZBA 2026-0028, petition of Peoria County, a text amendment to Chapter 20, Article 5, Section 5.1, A1 Agricultural Preservation District, Article 7, Section 7.2, Commercial Wind Energy Facilities, Section 7.19, Battery Energy Storage Systems, and Article 11, Section 11.1, Definitions of the Peoria County Code.
Member Rosenbaum, Member Rutland. Member Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just basically bringing our code up to standards, especially with the battery energy storage for all the stuff that's going to be coming up.
Questions? Mr. Braun is also here if you have any questions. Seeing none, please cast your vote.
Member Groves Allison. Eighteen ayes. Item 9.3. Sheriff and Public Defender cost of living adjustments as amended by the Public Safety and Justice Committee. A resolution from your Public Safety and Justice Committee recommending cost of living adjustments to the annual compensation of the county sheriff and the public defender in accordance with the state statute.
All right, is there a motion on the floor? Member Ricker? Member Allison? Any comments, corrections? Member Ricker?
I'd like to move to make an amendment to this motion My amendment would be twofold. First is to list a $6,500 stipend from the state of Illinois paid to the sheriff in the resolution. And two, delete the increase in the sheriff's salary from 85% of the state's attorney's salary and put it back to 80% of the state's attorney's salary.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay. There's a second. Second by Member Phelan. Discussion. Member Ricker.
I'd like to provide some comment just to try to clarify the situation. So I guess I want to formally apologize to the sheriff and the board for having the confusion around this procedural error for setting the sheriff's salary. As the chairman of the operations committee, I missed including the sheriff's salary when the committee approved the salaries for the county clerk and the treasurer in April. The sheriff's salary should have been set at that time. In December of 2022, Public Act 1020699 was enacted to set the minimum sheriff's salary at 80% of the state's attorney's salary effective January 2023, 1 month after the sheriff was sworn in from the November 2022 election. The state's attorney's annual cost of living adjustment is set by the Illinois Senate effective July 1st. Therefore, for the past 3 years, the sheriff received the same cost of living adjustment on July 1st to maintain the minimum of the 80% of the state's attorney's salary. The incorrect assumption was for the board to wait until the Illinois Senate set the state's attorney's and sheriff's cost of living adjustment effective July 1 before the board could take action on considering adjusting the sheriff's salary for the next 4-year term. However, waiting until July to review the sheriff's salary violated the Local Government Officer Compensation Act 50 ILCS 145. The act requires the board to fix the compensation of all elected officers at least 180 days before the beginning of the terms of the officers whose compensation is to be fixed. Therefore, the default is the sheriff's salary will continue at 80% of the state's attorney's salary for the full 4-year term. The state's attorney and sheriff will receive annual cost of living adjustments on July 1 for the next 4 years as set by the state Illinois Senate. I've asked our state's attorney to provide some documentation on this process so future operations chairperson know how to process this. So again, I have talked to the sheriff about it. He understands the miss, but I just wanted to be clear that it was a miss from an operations standpoint, that we should have taken this action in April, not wait till we got past the 180 days.
Thank you, Member. Jenny, do you have anything to add to that? Or?
No, happy to field any questions. There have been several, so anybody that has questions, I can help answer those.
Member Phelan.
I think the only ask that I would have for council is to provide some direction on how we could avoid this in the future and possibly navigate a similar situation. And it does not have to be on the fly tonight, Jenny. I'm just asking if I think it's been shown there's an appetite to address this, but if we could get some guidance moving forward for how to do it and do it appropriately.
Certainly, we can do that. I will say just on the fly that one thing that wasn't mentioned is once the salary is set for elected officials, and I know you all know this from going through the county ops process, that it is set then for the term so that it can't be adjusted prior to that 180-day mark and then during that elected official's term. So if you're going to go over the 80%, then you'll need to follow that normal schedule. The 80% set by statute is going to be automatic when the state's attorneys, if they get a COLA, they don't always, that would be automatic and wouldn't need to go through committee or board. So that is one piece there that of guidance. You won't need to keep doing this unless you do want to, in your discretion, raise above that 80% mark.
Thank you.
I guess I asked you for clarification on that last statement that you just made. We don't need to review it.
Annually.
Well, okay, go ahead.
So the legislature, the General Assembly will set the state's attorney's COLA, if there is one, each year, because the statute requires that the sheriff's salary is at least 80% of the state's attorney's salary. That would also be automatic at the 80% mark. If you're it's at least 80%. So if you're wanting to give more than the 80%, that's going to have to be done prior to the 180-day mark. And you can do that at any point, but it's not going to become effective until you're into the next 4-year term for that elected official, because it can't change 180 days before the current, the next elected officials taking office. So
Right,
I don't know if that clarified, but do you have a specific question?
There's no reason for the board to review this the following 3 years until we get to the next 4-year cycle.
Correct.
Coming for that office to be filled.
Correct.
So that's the clarification. There should be no reason for us as a board, just like in this current motion, the public defender's salary is tied to the state's attorney. There's really no reason for us to review that.
Unless you wanted to do more, and then we'll get more confusing if he's not an elected official. And so you could change that one. It's not tied to the 180-day rule.
Okay.
So.
Sorry for the confusion.
Other questions? Member Allison.
More of a comment. I just wanted to say thank you to the state's attorney's office for the clarification through this process. It was frustrating that it had to go through this process. I think there's a lot of support for the sheriff. I think it's an example of why we don't just propose things on a whim. We appreciate everybody looking in and getting the facts together for us. Also, I think as a board, we'd like to reiterate our support for the sheriff, despite the confusion that's taken place in the past couple weeks.
Thank you, Member Allison. Any other comments around from the horseshoe? Just seeing none, just a reminder, we are voting on as amended, which everybody should have a sheet of paper on the amendment. Please cast your vote on the amendment.
Member Groves Allison.
You're going to need to revote because they'll show it differently on there. That's 9.3.1 amendment, not from public safety. So vote
Sorry
again
about that.
on the amendment.
I was just reading the amendment. That's what I was thinking. Okay, Member Groves Allison. I can go ahead and mark it for you if you like. There it is. 18 ayes.
Right. This will be the vote as amended.
Yeah. 18 ayes. We'd be at miscellaneous and announcements.
We'll start on member Elsasser side.
Well, I need to pray for member Salter and his family and his wife, but I need to pray that he can put some meat back on his bones too. I should have brought some chocolate candy tonight or something. So.
Coach?
Mr. Chairman, of course, death is not a partisan thing, and I want to thank everybody on both sides of the aisle for all the help they've extended to me and the phone calls I received. Some of them were even from out of state. And I, of course, received numerous cards from many of you. Along with that, a large number of you came to the visitation, and you stayed for the services and the luncheon as well. I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate that. I'm not a big emotional individual, as the students would tell you and so forth, and some of the kids that I'd coached in the past. But you certainly have humbled me with all the friendship that you have extended to me, and I deeply appreciate it.
Coach, you're an amazing man. An amazing wife. Member Rosenbaum? Or member what? Member Ricker?
Just like to make people aware that the Peoria Riverfront Museum is doing a 9/11 remembrance on September 11th at 10 a.m. It's going to be a great program to remember, and we have a local community member who had passed away at 9/11, so 25 years ago. So I'd strongly encourage you to remind everyone, please attend, because I think you'll really, really appreciate, and it'll help all of us in the younger generations also to understand the impact of 9/11.
Thank you, Member Ricker. Member Blair?
I got involved in the Peoria County Board only after I'd been invited to many a trivia night by Phil and Nancy. And I remember Nancy very fondly, in particular, that she didn't give a lot of answers, but when she did, they were right, and none of the rest of us knew them. I will miss her greatly.
Nothing. Administrator?
I'd just like to invite everyone this Saturday, if you're not doing anything. My daughter Riley's Vegan Sweets and Eats is hosting our 4th annual plant-based expo. It's usually at the Civic Center, but this year it will be at the Life Together Center. So if you know of anyone that is vegan or has a dairy intolerance, or just wants to try out a plant-based diet or goods, everything there will be cruelty-free. And it runs from 11 to 5. And it's free to get in, it's kid-friendly, and come on out and have some fun.
Good to know. Seeing nothing else, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.